Right, thank you everyone. Yeah, I'm really excited to be here today to sort of kind of help sort of set that future. What does 2050 look like? Where are we going as Shropshire economy? We've heard some fantastic things today and how resilient our business community is, how well we've worked together collectively through the pandemic, you as businesses and your response. And we've been listening. And we've been listening quite hard, really. And from the start of the pandemic, we brought together an economic task force, which many of you in the room are part of, or through an organisation you're involved in, have been representing sort of the economy in its widest sense, about what's happening on the ground. And we did that, and we brought together the group really because at that moment in time, you know, everybody was just looking at everybody, how do we respond collectively? And I think that power in our kind of collective voice and our collective lobbying has really helped us to recover as quickly as some of the kind of stats were showing earlier from Mark. So I'm going to talk about strategy. I won't bore you all to death with strategy. You all know it, you all own it. This isn't Shropshire Council strategy. This is the Shropshire economy strategy. And it was over a year ago, actually, I was just looking back now, that we all got together, a lot of you in the room, at the football ground. And that was about really shaping up this strategy. So I really hope you can recognise what's been out there for consultation this last few months. It's high level. This isn't about reams and reams of writing. This is about action and delivery. And that's really where we're taking this forward to now. So the vision for Shropshire, you know, again, trying to keep it reasonably short-ish about what we're trying to achieve and really setting out that ambition. You know, we've got huge potential. We're doing huge, great things, and we need to make sure we're being recognised for that, and we're celebrating our kind of high-quality assets. But we're co-creating that. And I know that's a term that's used quite readily, but actually it's genuine, and it's about, you know, we can't deliver this as Shropshire Council. We deliver this in our partnership, and I think the way we're taking this forward to ensure that we're accountable, we're collectively accountable for taking this, and we have that real kind of inclusive economy, one that we kind of, you know, make sure we are getting nationally recognised today, you know, that the you know, being on the map, we're all shouting about it, and I kind of get a bit fed up of that phrase, we're hiding under a bushel. I think we just need to stop talking about that. We just need to stop saying that. We just need to get on with it, because we talk a lot about, oh, Shropshire, you know, we don't want to shout. We just need to be doing it, and you are doing it as businesses, and we need to sort of just get rid of that narrative and just kind of get on with delivering that healthy and resilient economy. So there's some things under there about KPIs. You know, these are our targets about delivering more jobs, delivering more homes. You'd expect to see them. But what's really important when we're taking this forward now is about those softer metrics that we kind of need to make sure we collect, all that good work that's going on in the kind of quantitative space around our economy, and making sure we're really gathering that data in an effective way. So I'll talk to you a little bit about that in a moment. So this is kind of the sort of kind of key themes around the delivery of our strategy. So we're talking about some sort of targeted activities and interventions across three key themes around supporting local businesses, supporting strategic locations, and our employment and skills agenda. So things you recognise, our economy hasn't completely turned on its head in the last 2 years. There's still all the kind of key things you'd expect us to be saying. But actually, the narrative and the elements underneath those have adapted and changed. And the feedback we've had through the task force has been really about the resilience and the reactiveness and the way we need to respond going forward. And it's been really interesting actually hearing sort of monthly from the task force and partners about the fact that even now, when we went out with the strategy and sort of asked people, you know, what do you think about that? Listening to Tim, you know, the energy crisis, that's happening. It's not waiting 5 years for us to go, well, there was an energy crisis. How do we reflect that in our strategy? You know, we're picking that up and we're getting on with it now. We're listening to you, we're adapting programmes, things that are coming down from government that we'll talk about shortly around funding opportunities. You know, we need to have that response in our collective working. And I think that really important through the governance and the strategy and the monitoring that we're taking forward. That will enable us to kind of react in a much more flexible way to ensure that we're kind of putting the right programmes in place, we're targeting, we're lobbying effectively, and we're ensuring Shropshire's getting its fair share. So the Economic Task Force has been up and running for the last 2 years. We're taking that forward now and working with the Business Board as well, and we're sort of turning that into a Shropshire Economic Partnership. And the real importance of that for us is around collective ownership of our strategy, our Shropshire economic strategy, how that fits into our Shropshire plan for a healthy economy, as Mark and Andy have spoken about, but also how you can see and you can challenge and hold everyone, is accountable for delivering this for the Shropshire economy. So we're going to put that into place with the right partners around the table. Many of you in the room will be involved in that. There's subgroups that are going to sit under that around some of the funding, some of those key streams, because, we need to be doing this to get the best value for our communities, for our people, for our businesses. We need that structure in place. And I think that's going to be really important when it comes to kind of seeing how we're performing, to enable us to change our path, to adapt, to make sure we're hitting those ambitions and targets. So we're talking about delivering our sort of mission statements, providing we've got the right tools and support in place for our businesses, our growth hub, continuing that brilliant work that's going on out there on the ground, and making sure we're putting in the right support that Tim's talking about for kind of enabling businesses to adapt for the energy crisis, zero carbon, championing the wider infrastructure. Shropshire's a big place, as we know. Infrastructure is a thing we need to help unlock some of our potential. Infrastructure is really expensive, even more expensive at the moment, as you will know. And we've got to ensure that we can get the right energy, the right roads, the right broadband, all of these things into our kind of key locations. So getting that infrastructure right is really important. It's the biggest thing we need to get for our county, and that's our key agenda in our lobbying up to government at the moment. And getting the right workforce, recruiting, I'm not preaching to you guys, that's really, really, really challenging. The skills mapping that needs to go against that. We heard an awful lot about that, about getting people upskilled into the right jobs, being able to adapt, retrofitting, an example used all the time. Loads of bricklayers, can't get enough people to retrofit homes into the right things that Tim's talking about in terms of energy efficiency. How do we meet those skills gaps and needs? Got Joe in the room, who's our employment and skills advisor, so please catch up with Joe and the team as well. That's something we're really kind of working hard on as a council at the moment. So that's kind of like, we're doing stuff, we're getting on with the delivery. From a strategy perspective, we've done a lot of listening and we're very grateful for all the feedback. We're putting that together into a high-level action plan to take forward now collectively through this delivery with you as a partnership and really to kind of to move us forward. So these are our key values, your key values. This is what we said, is about resilience. It is about sustainability in its widest sense. So, sustainability, everyone talks about sustainability. What do we mean? What does the green economy mean for Shropshire? Question mark. We need to really shape that together. But we need to make sure, we're not just doing enough. We need to be doing more. So that's a real challenge. Inclusivity, making our county more prosperous, as Mark said, a better economy, better for everything else. People can pay for things, people can support their children, can support themselves into jobs. That all circular economy, it's been around forever, but we really need to get back to some of that. And health and well-being, a huge bit that we heard through the pandemic was around, the support businesses gave to their staff at such a challenging time. As a council, it was huge for us. We're delivering massive programmes to support people and our own staff really, struggling with some of that stuff as well. So I think the health and well-being of staff and the importance of that for a healthy business. So how can we help support that as well and ensure that we're getting that growth right? And that's all comes together under that ambition, passion and pace that we need to put behind this. So I'll kind of stop going on a little bit and kind of get to the good stuff that hopefully is quite exciting for Shropshire, is around our levelling up. So as many of you will know, we've put in 4 bids for levelling up monies, £104 million potential there across our county. So we've got Smithfield Riverside, project at Craven Arms to unlock some employment land, a project in Oswestry to unlock some future development within the Mile End area and within the town centre, and then a whole Shropshire piece around the connectivity and transport network around the kind of a connecting Shropshire bus transport programme. So we're really ambitious in what we put forward to government. We're still really hopeful of some really positive news for those. That would make such a difference to how our economy kind of continues to grow and prosper. Some real stuff that we definitely know we've got around our shared prosperity. So I'm sure many of you in conversations with either Matt or Gary or myself around what that money is looking for Shropshire. So we've got an allocation of just over 12 million, plus another 2.6 million for rural elements. So these are things that you'll have known from EU days, ERDF, ESF monies, around people, skills and development, supporting local business, community place and investment. So some really exciting stuff there. We've put in our investment plan with your support to shape that under those key themes. We're looking to get that feedback from government now so we can get on with kind of getting those programmes rolled out, so we don't lose some momentum on some things we've already really good at doing, but also the opportunity for some really innovative and new projects to come forward to really support kind of our economy going forward. Really important that you'll all know, but this is quite a short window we've got for this first lot of funding, so it's really important that we show how well we can deliver this money to enable us to be in a good position to get further funding if and when the next lot comes out from government in 2.5 years' time. So I think that's really, we've got a lot to do in a couple of years, but we don't want to kind of lose the opportunity to create some new programmes as well going forward, so that we've got them ready to put in for new funding post this allocation. So quite an exciting time. Always the optimist, but I think let's just leave you with that kind of piece that this is about, looking forward. It's about not being afraid to change what we're doing and adapt. And I think collectively, that's been a really powerful message that we've had through the task force, taking forward to the Shropshire Economic Partnership, having that overarching governance and accountability that we all work towards. I think will help ensure that our economy continues to thrive as it already is and grow in that sense. So I'll stop going on and I'll pass to Mark.
I'm just conscious that you haven't seen anybody talk yet, have you? I'm going to cut this short, conscious of time, Carl, as well. We've just crept over a little bit. What I want you to think about is Hayley talked about the world of 2050. It's our job to think long term. And if you think back at Christmas this year, it will be 23 years since we celebrated the millennium. Think of it. That will be a world that's not with us, that's with us pretty soon. A child born today will be a graduate in 2045. If we start to think about the planning horizons. So just give you some thoughts here in terms of why we think it's really important to kind of plan strategic infrastructure. So by 2050, we'll have built something like 40,000 more homes in Shropshire. We've got about 150,000 at the moment. There'll be about 80,000 more people. We've got about 325,000, so it's about a 25% population uplift. Of that, though, our working age population is roughly about 185,000 at the moment. There'll only be about 10,000 more people of working age because of what's happening in the ageing population. So over 75s will double from 35 to 70,000. I mentioned over 65s earlier. So all the research that's being done around Bank of England, OECD, everybody is saying that by 2040 to 50, 47% of all jobs will be fundamentally different because of automation. If you think by 2050, it will have been 20 years since you could have bought a petrol or diesel car, because no new cars, petrol or diesel, can be sold after 2030. And we will be net zero carbon. So there's a bit about, we don't know how we're going to get to that picture, do we? It'll be a zigzag, but we've got to work together collectively as a bunch of partners to get the infrastructure in place, both physically and socially, to deliver that. So there's a range of people we need some really important conversations with. And we think about the models by which, for example, UK energy infrastructure is developed. If we think about the social infrastructure, the housing we need, and it's great to see some of the faces, I've just put some slides up there. We're going to have to work with everybody here who's part of that infrastructure network to deliver the society that we want. The economic picture for that, where you as business position yourselves, it's really important we continue these kind of conversations to help you understand those kind of mega trends and where they're going, and then what we're doing with partners to make sure the infrastructure is in place to do that. And it's fascinating to kind of look at that mix of organizations and think about how they deliver what they deliver. So we're bringing together a range of kind of opportunities to have single conversations around this stuff so that we can start to align our planning, our strategies, our investment, everything that is going to potentially create efficiencies that help us do more and do it faster. And that's the notion of kind of how we bring this stuff together. So you can see the sorts of buckets that we're looking at there. There's a big data stream. There's got to be something big about power. And I constantly tell everybody, Shropshire is the second biggest generator of renewables by local authority area in the UK. Let's all be proud of that. But, you know, there's more to do. The utilities, the infrastructure for around highways and transport, and then, of course, all that big social infrastructure. And it's good to see some skills people here today. What are the skills that graduate going to need for 2045? What's that journey from that child starting school within 5 years of today that gives them the skills that your businesses will need when they emerge? We've got to start thinking about that. So that's what this is all about. So really, this is just an opportunity to start that conversation, start to get people engaged in that in this room, but let you know that we're kind of moving in that area. So I thought, Carl, that was a very quick kind of summary of what I could have said just to recover some time. But I'm really heartened by the energy that's in this room and the kind of engagement that we've got. And from what I was saying earlier, the sort of success that we're seeing already within the Shropshire economy. So if that can help us start to shape what do we want 2050 to be like, then brilliant. Thank you very much.